Craig was, he's 25 when he passed, but he was just, he was his own person. He was very independent. He was very strong-willed. He had a lot of personality. He just lived life on his own terms. So he just was himself. He didn't necessarily care what others thought. He really just he just went to the beat of his own drum. He really did. He had a daughter who was 4 months old when he passed away. So she definitely, I would say, was who he was most proud of, was his daughter. So he was definitely a very loving dad. He was extremely competitive in whatever it was that he was into at that time, whether it be darts or bowling or pool. It didn't matter what he was doing, he was going to be the best at it. So he was always very driven in whatever it was that he was into, at that moment. So, but yeah, he and I were really, really close. And he had a couple of really close friends. So, and yep, he just had a tight-knit group that he spent his time with. So he didn't have a lot of friends. The friends he had, he was very close to. So it just took a lot for him to trust. And so if you were in his circle, you were meant to be in his circle. Prior to him passing, I just thought he was just living his life. So at the time, I didn't necessarily see anything. I had an 8-month-old at the time and a 6-year-old, so I was busy kind of with my daughters, and he and I still spent time together. He lived in his own apartment, and I lived on my own. So he was just busy being a dad and working, and he was with his partner at that time also. So I didn't necessarily see any red flags or warnings at that time. Prior to that, we just spent time together on the weekends, and he just hung out. And basically after his daughter was born, he was very focused on her. So, and I didn't notice anything different. And I think that's where, unfortunately, I feel like so many people carry guilt. I know I did with my brother. Fortunately, with my dad, I did not. I think that initial moment I did, but I don't carry that with me. And a lot of that is just because you're so often asked the why. Like, why did he did it? Why did he do it? Excuse me. And that forces family members, I feel like, to carry a lot of guilt. Like, you should know that something's wrong, or you should have done something different, or you should have reached out differently. And that's not true, because, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. But I didn't, at that time, I didn't notice anything. And I think I spent years beating myself up for that, wishing I would have, or thinking I should have. He kept everything inside. And so he didn't necessarily talk about any struggles that he was having. I think I knew, looking back, that he may have had struggles, but never thought that he was depressed or suicidal, or ever thought that he would die by suicide. Those thoughts never ran through my mind at all. And even looking back, there weren't direct comments in relation to that. I do know the night that he passed, I did have a feeling that I needed to stop by his apartment, and I didn't. I was in a wedding that weekend. I was a bridesmaid, and I had just got a pedicure, and I had to get home to my daughter. I was nursing at that time, and I had this strong urge to stop and see him. I'm grateful I didn't, because I probably would have found him, and so I'm grateful that I didn't. But I did have a strong feeling that I needed to stop that evening, and I can't explain it. I have no idea what it is, but I can't change that, and I can't dwell on that. So, but I was there for him, I feel like, as a sister, as much as I could be. And so, we were really close, actually. So my Craig passed away October 19th, and my dad, October 19th, 2006, and my dad was October 21st of 2018. Right. So it was the anniversary weekend of my brother.
Tell me about your dad.
So my dad, my dad was just, I don't know, my dad was pretty awesome too. My dad was very much like my brother. He was very strong-willed. He was very determined. If he had something on his mind, it was going to happen. He was probably the best fix-it man that you could have ever found. He was so handy. He could fix anything, and he really, he really thrived on that. He loved to help fix things for other people. It made him feel good, and so he taught me how to fix a lot of things, and so.
What are some of those things?
Just basic household things, leaky faucet. Like my dad was an amazing electrician. I know nothing about that, but my dad was an amazing electrician. He always liked to make things more fun. So, for the kids' Power Wheels, he would definitely make them higher powered. He'd put in headlights and a horn. He made my pop-up camper. He made a drill bit piece with a drill, so it's an automatic pop-up versus having to crank it up. It's just basically, he would just take anything and make it more user-friendly or more fun, and if it was for the grandkids, he definitely went all out on making it awesome.
And where did your dad work?
He actually was disabled.
Okay.
So, yep. So he, prior to, he was in a horrific car accident and was disabled 3 weeks after my brother passed away.
Oh, okay.
And so prior to that, he did maintenance. So he worked at Metalworks in Spencer. That was hard. So, yeah, he was in the hospital for several months in Des Moines in a rehabilitation center, learning how to do a lot of things again. But it didn't stop him from, he always was very motivated to be better and do more. He didn't let that stop him. So he was a fighter in many ways. And then he just did what he could when he could. Ever since my brother passed, my dad had struggled off and on, which I certainly can understand why. I can't imagine losing one of my girls. And I know he very much carried a lot of guilt about my brother's passing. And I knew around the anniversary of my brother was always a really difficult time for my dad. And in 2018, it was just overwhelmingly hard for him, unfortunately. For whatever reason, that particular year hit him really hard. And I don't know, what it was about that particular year that it was, but it just was really, really hard for him. And he was struggling. So I knew he was struggling. I had reached out to him. He had reached out to me. We had communicated. Ultimately, I didn't think that he, would. Sorry.
That's okay.
Moment. I didn't think I would lose him by suicide. I actually, had really had the conversation with him that it was so hard losing Craig that way. And my mom was dying of cancer also, and so I knew, it was already a really difficult time, and so I didn't think that would actually, be the way that he died. And I know he didn't do it. So, I know he wasn't being selfish. I know he didn't do it to hurt us. I can't imagine being in the pain that he was in and that Craig was in, and being in such a deep, dark place that you feel that the world would be better off without you in it. I can't imagine feeling that hopeless. And it makes me extremely sad that he and Craig both were there. Because the world was a better place with them here. And, I think that's what hurts the most, is that they felt that they were more hurtful here than not.